Hey everybody, we are here in beautiful Haddonfield, New Jersey, in front of the Button Shy headquarters here. I'm here with a special guest star.
I'm Michelle from Second Star to the Left.
And today we're going to be talking about our top 10 solo Button Shy board games. So let's head inside and get started. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. And today we are taking a look at our top 10 favorite Button Shy solo games. And I'm joined here by a guest.
Hi, I'm Michelle from Second Star to the Left. Glad to be on here today.
No, thanks for joining, Michelle. And we're going to be breaking up this list. We're going to have 10 through 6 over on Michelle's channel, which will be a link over here. Go check that out first. And we're going to be covering the rest of the list with 5 through 1. So my number 5 is a Civilization game. An 18-card Civilization doesn't sound like that would go together, but this is Ancient Realms, where you're going to have these like 4 different resources, and you're going to be drafting cards from this row, building out like, these wonders, and drafting these like citizens that are going to give you abilities, and you're building out this kind of like long row of buildings and people and triggering abilities, and trying just to like build the most amount of wonders to get points. And this is another one where like we're going to say this ad nauseum, where it feels like such a bigger game in like a little package. The way that they can like use all the sides of the cards and everything is just really, really clever. And I think they really capture that like feeling of building out a civilization in a little package. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and while we didn't count expansion, the expansions are really useful.
Yeah, they really add quite a bit to it.
No, this is one of the ones that I specifically say, no, you can't believe how much they get in 18 cards. So not that we don't say that all the time, but for this one specifically. My number 5 is one of the early ones that I had, and that is Ugly Gryphon Inn. Putting cute little fantasy creatures into an inn where they can bother and annoy each other until they leave is a great deal of fun. So you have all your guests that could be in the inn. They start at the bar, which makes sense, and then they move up to the inn, and you have to keep everyone in the inn happy while making sure that the patrons at the bar aren't annoying them, and also that the other inn guests aren't annoying them. And if you're lucky, you'll get 7 or 8 of them to stay before 8 of them leave on you.
Yeah, this one also just barely fell off. At the risk of this being nothing but a simply solo list, because that whole series is just so awesome. But I do like Ugly Gryphon Inn. I like the theme too. The fantasy kind of bar tavern deal is cool, and I like it.
And it's just a really adorable way into those fantasy creatures. So you can show it to anybody, and they'll kind of be attracted to the art and fall into that they need to buy all the Button Shy games.
Yeah, it is one. Yeah, like the Opolis games. Like, that's a good like first introduction to the like 18 card deal. Okay, so my number 4 showed up on your list earlier, and that's Hyperstar Run. So this is another simply solo game where you're going to be playing through this like last level of a video game, and you're playing out these different cards to match symbols and trying to build the perfect route to the last boss. You have like 3 chances to run through this. So it feels a little bit like roguelite, where you kind of know what's coming each time you go back to it. And as a big video game player, just that feeling of like learning the moves of a boss or like the moves of a level and like perfecting it as you go through it, it is like probably one of the more like addicting Button Shy games where you just want to like keep trying again.
You just
get the perfect, like, oh, this time I'm gonna get the perfect run. I'm gonna do it like one time through. And it has like some cool achievements in the rulebook too, where like you can try to like get specific win conditions. And I like, again, any game that kind of gives you like alternate win conditions or different ways to kind of approach the game, I like, and I appreciate that. Also from like a video game achievement standpoint, it's cool that it's in there.
Yeah, it feels the most like what some of them are setting out to do. It definitely feels like that kind of video game. And there's a nice balance of luck and skill, right? So you can kind of mitigate the lucky part a little bit, but you're dealt the cards you're dealt.
Yeah, it feels, I like that, again, like touching on that video game where like you kind of have to be like a little reactionary of like you don't know what's going to come, and it captures that really nicely.
It's very good for reactionary game players.
Yes, yep. No strategy here.
My number 4 is a nice Cuppa. As soon as I heard they were making this one, I knew I would be all in, because I'm very likely to curl up with a nice cup of tea and a book. And so thematically, I was already in. And then just it's a planned movement kind of game. So much like Fishing Lessons was, where you have to kind of keep track of what moves you have to make and add the next one in. You're just trying to be relaxed and focused and enjoy a nice cup of tea while you get rid of all of your worries. The worries do make me giggle a little bit when I'm reading what they are, because they're true, but also they're a bit humorous. Again, not expansions, but there is one where you add a book in. So then you're picking your favorite book and sitting down to read your book, which is a perfect day in my life. So this one kind of hits everything for me.
Yeah, no, I that's another one, just barely missed it. Do you like fishing lessons? I mean, I assume fishing lessons isn't on your list. How do you feel about those?
So fishing lessons isn't on my list only because I haven't played it as much as some of the other ones. And I feel between the two of these, this one's just a little bit cleaner in that trying to organize, the programmed movement kind of thing. I just feel like this one's a little bit cleaner. I do still like fishing lessons, and I like all the little expansions that make that world a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
But I like this theme more, so it pushes up the list.
I haven't played Nice Cuppa with any of the expansions. I wonder if that would like push it up a little bit for me.
So the book one adds 2 more cards and a bunch of extra worries to shuffle in because you're not using all the worries every time. You shuffle through different ones, and then there's holiday stresses, which just adds an extra, depending on the season or the holiday, an extra goal or problem to the list. So
and pets, is that out yet?
I don't think so.
I like the idea of adding pets into it, though.
I do like it. I like how those things add extra stress. The holiday's going to add extra stress. I don't know that choosing a book causes me that stress, but it does help me calm down. So yeah, I really enjoy the theme of that one.
Cool. So my number 3 is kind of a newer one, and this is FantasyForm, which is kind of a re-implementation of Spaceship, which they share a lot of the similar DNA. And this one really surprised me when I was approaching it because at its heart, it's like a commodity speculation game where you are taking the role of like this alchemist, and you have like a market of like potions that you can buy from. You have like these encounters that you're going on, and then you have like a rival that you're trying to beat at the end of it. So the ultimate goal is to like get this like elemental form and then spend gold to like beat your rival. But I think that, like I mentioned before, it feels like very like a Euro game, which like kind of surprised me. It's like, oh, it's gonna be like these alchemists fighting with elemental form, but at its heart, like you really got to control these different like colored potions and how much they're worth and kind of setting things up. And it's just such a fun experience. Like going up against that rival, it just feels really exciting to play it.
Did you play Spaceship?
I did. I played that after FantasyForm.
Oh, so I had played Spaceship originally and then moved to FantasyForm, which I prefer. The mechanics are a little bit different, but it's pretty much the same. FantasyForm also to me feels like one of those old video games where you're just building up to get that boss, and you have to make sure that you have enough health and you have enough, money and potion and everything to.
And I like that you can kind of see the countdown of like when the boss is going to attack you. So like it doesn't feel like you kind of know what's coming. You have time to get prepared for it and stuff, which is cool. And no, I'm a little bit of like a fantasy nerd, so I think just FantasyForm speaks to me more than Spaceship.
Yeah, they're both good, but same. It just kind of missed here. Okay, 3, and we had a little discussion before this, so I'm still making this video with you. 3 is Skulls of Sedlac, which I get is not a solo game, but there are solo expansions. You can get Monstrance and what's Crown of Bones. Is that what it is? Thank you. You can get Monstrance and you can get Crown of Bones that allow you to play with that. You can also get this nifty little dig and write card, which makes Skulls as a solo game into a flip and write game, which makes it so easy to pull out anywhere because you're not taking up any space. It's really, really, really quick. This is my preferred method to play it solo. I enjoy the other solos because you have challenges where you have to, instead of building a pyramid of skulls, which sounds morbid, but they're really adorable, you're building shapes with them. In this case, you're just using this card and the deck and building them out. You'll lay 2 out and you either choose the top skulls or the bottom skulls to put onto your card. It also has room for you to add in one of the expansion. There are tons of expansions and they all are very different and do crazy things to your scoring. This is the game I gift most of all. This is the game I teach new people whenever I sit them down to be like, look what you can do with 18 cards. And so while it's not technically a solo game, this is high up on my list.
Yeah. And at the risk of losing my button shy credentials, Skulls of Sedlac is, I think, the one big one that I have not played yet. So I need to.
We will have to fix that.
But yes, I'm excited. I'll eventually try the solo one and see if it goes up that high. So my number 2 is the elephant in the room, the Button Shy Gargantuan kind of series. And the one I'm choosing for this one is the newest one, Casinopolis, but you can kind of supplement any Opolis game that you want. So yeah, this 18-card game where you're going to be dealing out 3 different scoring conditions and then placing out the rest of the cards in this kind of grid format, building out a city. In Casinopolis, what I really like about it, it feels the most modular out of all of them. So like the scoring conditions in the other 3 games are kind of like set. Like they're usually like 1, 2, or 3 points every time you fill it. In Casinopolis, when you deal them out, depending on the order that you put them out in, you score either 1, 2, or 3 points. So it's really randomized. But they also introduced some new ways to score in the game, which is really fun, like these little slot casino type of things. Like it really played into the casino kind of setup really, really interestingly. So I think from like if I just had base games, I think Casinopolis is like the most replayable for me. But like you mentioned before, a lot of the expansions for Naturopolis or the original Sprawlopolis really add a lot. And I think if you're just getting into this series, I think Casinopolis might be a little much. I think Naturopolis is still the best like introduction. It's the most forgiving. It's like the most pleasant to kind of build out.
Yeah.
But yeah, Casinopolis, maybe it's a little recency bias, but I think that it feels like they went crazy. Like they did the trilogy. It's like, it's like Star Wars, like a good original trilogy. Now this is like the weird spin-off games that we're getting now. And I really like what they're doing with Casinopolis.
And when I get it, I'm going to say, oh yeah, this is the weird spin-off Opolis.
Yeah. The avant-garde.
That is definitely the selling point. Okay, my number 2 is the first solo game that I ever played. I was convinced that solo games would be boring and that you should not play them. Obviously, I'm sitting here, so that is wrong. It is not the first Button Shy game I played, though. I played Tussie Mussy before that. But this is Food Chain Island, which is kind of a classic. I don't know a lot of people playing solo Button Shy games who have not tried this one. But you have a grid of 4x4 cards with animals on them. Each of those animals has a special ability on them, and this is the food chain. So the bigger animals are going to eat the little ones, and then you follow the ability on the card, and you're just trying to get those 16 cards into hopefully one pile, but as few piles as you can. I have played with the expansions, but I will say that I actually prefer to play this one just the base game. Yeah. I do. You have 2 kind of help cards that you can do.
Yep. That's like the polar bear, like the water ones.
Yeah, the water ones, and they get you out of a jam if you need that. But this is also one of the ones that you will play over and over. When we were doing this list, I went through and played like the top 10 again just to kind of make sure. And Food Chain Island, I played like 5 times because I was sure that I could do better on the next round. The first month that I had this, when we were doing stats at the end, I had played it 35 times. So obviously it's way up there on the list.
I love it. And like that rush of getting like just the right chain of animals and just pulling it off, it's just like so much. It's so good. Like I said before, I had Numbsters early on the list that kind of give me a similar vibe, but like Food Chain Island's a classic. It's so good.
And it's so quick that you don't mind if you don't do well because you just shuffle them up and start over.
Also, the art's really cute. I like the animals, like the animals eating each other in like the most adorable way.
Which doesn't sound like it's like I said the skulls were adorable. They are. It doesn't sound like it should be, but they are.
So our number 1.
Yeah.
So this is another Scott Alm Simply Solo game. And this is the spookiest game on the list. And this is The Last Lighthouse. This is kind of a tower defense game against these like Cthulhu, Lovecraftian, like dream monsters. So I mentioned before when I talked about Walking Dead, I'm a big horror person, so I think this theme really speaks to me. I like a lot of like the Arkham horror kind of stuff, and this kind of feels like a very small version of that. I also like tower defense. So the Last Lighthouse, you're going to have your lighthouse card, and you're going to deal out monsters to the right of it, and from your hand, you're going to play out traps in between those monsters to try to defeat them. So it does a couple of neat things. The way that you can spend your health in the lighthouse to play additional cards and take additional actions is cool. The way that you add cards to your hand, so you have to defeat nightmares in order to get more traps into your hand. So it makes this really cool kind of loop of having to beat monsters to feed hands to your card and kind of bouncing them back and forth is really neat. It's just really tense. It always comes down to like the last couple health in the lighthouse. Monsters in this are like genuinely very creepy on the cards.
Yeah, they look like nightmares.
Yeah, they generally look like nightmares. And as like a horror fan, I just love the art on this. And again, just like that tower defense gameplay, I think I played a lot of like Flash games as a kid that were tower defense. And so having that in this kind of small card format is really fun. Love the theme. And yeah, Last Lighthouse. This was tough. I think between the Opolis and this one, they're easily my most played of the series of solo games. But the horror theme for it just comes out a little bit for me.
Now, do you play with the expansions?
I do. Yeah, this is one that I think the base game is great, but I think adding in some more of those creatures and some more options brings it up even more.
Yeah, there are games that I always will play an expansion, and some where maybe I play one, and like Food Chain Island where I rarely do.
Yeah.
I just think it's quick and simple. Last Lighthouse is a good one.
Yeah.
If we talk about honorable mentions.
Do you want to do honorable mentions before your number one?
We can do that. You want to do that?
Yes.
Okay. You go ahead and do yours.
Okay, so Glass Garden I mentioned before, Rosh Patel, awesome designer. Captured that on Mysticana, so give her flowers there. At the Helm, I think this is like a pretty underrated one, honestly.
Yeah, At the Helm is on my honorable mentions. I do think it's way underrated and doesn't get enough love. It's a deck builder.
Yeah.
With 18 cards.
Yes, yeah, the kind of like being the captain of the ship, trying to complete these. I think it's really tough. I do awful in that game.
It might be why it's an honorable mention.
It's painting a little negatively in my mind. But I think that's a really cool. If you like deck builders, I think it's an awesome option. Nice Cuppa you mentioned before. That and Fishing Lessons are kind of, I think of in the same vein. Both like them. And the last one was Food Chain Island that I think Numbsters kind of.
It took away, yeah. For me, we have At the Helm. Last Lighthouse makes my honorable mentions, and I just think it's because I haven't played it as much as the other ones. I somehow forget that it's there sometimes and just grab for the ones that I know really well.
Yeah.
So I think with more plays, that just moves up the list. Original Rove sits just down off the list because I don't beat it as much as Aqua Rove. And I know that's not fair. It's a really good game, but I prefer
I think I'm
Aqua.
with you there. I put Rove / Aqua Rove on my list, but I would choose, like if I had to pick two, it would be Aqua Rove would be the one.
And the last one is a really old one, and that is Banned Books, which
I've heard of this one.
would have moved way up my list. But you need extra components to play Banned Books. I always have like extra little beads and dice and things in here. But Banned Books, you're taking characters from banned books and trying to get them, back into their proper space. And so you're trying to advance scoring tracks against the opponents, people trying to ban the books, and you're trying to use this character's strengths. And you can choose to play as characters from any of the banned books that's yours. So usually I'm Atticus Finch, but you can play as like 5 or 6 other characters. And it's just a really good theme. I was a lit major, so I was already attracted to it. And it is one of the first ones that I got.
Okay.
It was out of print, then it was back in print. I don't know where it stands now. But yeah, that's on my honorable mentions, and only because you need extra pieces to play it.
Yeah, I'll have to give that one a try. It's funny. I went to like Board Game Geek, and I was filtering Button Shy and then Solo, and like just looking at it, and there's like hundreds of entries on like solo games. So like there's so many that I'm sure I'm missing that like if I played, who knows where they would end up. But banned books, that's good to hear about.
Take a look for it. So my number one, which you mentioned way lower on your list, is going to be Numbsters, and it teeters between Food Chain Island and Numbsters, and part of that is replayability and how quick I can play another game. Numbsters travels with me anywhere I go because I can play it on an airplane, I can play it in a restaurant, I can play it at the hotel because it just has such a small footprint. And then, any game based on the, why is 6 afraid of 7 joke, that's already going to start on a high.
Does the expansion ruin it for you then? Does it?
A little bit, but I do love the expansion, the Infinity, where you just if you don't do it right, you're just going to keep circling through it, which I do anyway. I love the art on this. I think it's bright and it's colorful and it's cute, and all the numbers are monsters, so Numbsters. And this is also one that's pretty easy to teach people, so it's easy to take and show people. I've given this one away a great deal as well.
One of the achievements is to like have a certain number be the last one in your hand. Have you successfully done every
No,
number?
I have not. I've done some of them. But again, I'm a very reactionary player all the time. And sometimes if I'm really focused, I can set things up so that I'm in a good position to get this specific number. And sometimes I'm like, woo, got it, and just slapping the cards down, which, happens in every game, not just these. But yeah, Numbsters is easily my most played at this point.
Yeah, no, good option. I love it. And like I said, even though it's lower on my list, I think it's probably the most played. Like you said, it's just so easy to like shuffle in your hand and just start going again.
I do think it's worth mentioning that this list, when we're talking about the difference between 1 and 10, it is very small.
Yeah.
And it could be the case of I played this one a lot last month. And so then they would change positions. We're not saying like 10 is way worse than number 1. These are all solid games
very
in the collection.
interchangeable.
Yeah.
We could have done just a list on just like the Simply Solo line. There's enough there that are like really good games. But yeah, like I said, like the top 5 can like kind of flux. Like, what is my favorite?
Yeah,
they're all
definitely.
real
What
good.
mood am I in? What season is it? What did I have for breakfast? It could change on any of those things.
Hopefully not Numbsters. That would be not a good meal to have. But yes, thank you guys for joining us. I hope you had fun with this top 10. Be sure to go check out Second Star to the Left for the 10 through 6 list if you haven't already. But this was a lot of fun. It was good to like kind of reflect, and I liked bouncing off these ideas with you. It was interesting to see like kind of where these kind of landed differently for each of us.
No, this was a lot of fun. We should do some more.
Yes. So if you want to see some other Button Shy ranking videos, we kind of limited ourselves to solo games, obviously, but there's multiplayer games. There's so many like out there at this point that we can do a lot of different subgenres.
We can come up with more.
Unless it's like a pure top 10, that might be tough to do at this point. That'd be kind of heartbreaking.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
You have to leave some off that you really want to put on the list.
Yeah, just like a 30 minutes of just honorary mention, gushing about a bunch of games we like. But no, thank you guys again for watching. Be sure to check out Second Star to the Left, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.